only on CNN.
And we are back with Bill Gates. Bill, you have spent a lot of time, your foundation, you spent a lot of money on trying to alleviate poverty and deal with issues of disease and things like that, but then you also spend a lot of money on education. And I remember in previous conversations we've had on the show, you've said that you have determined that the most important thing in fixing an education system is getting good teachers, that is more important than class size, than curriculum, than anything. But then that left the question of, what is a good teacher? Can you figure it out, and can you replicate it?
Well, it's amazing that the difference between the very best teachers and the ones that are the worst is incredible. Even from the best to the average is a dramatic difference. And yet we don't really look into why that good teacher is so good and try and capture it so that we can help the average teacher move up to, say, the top quartile. If we did that, we'd have the best education system in the world. But our teachers get the least feedback. Over 95% are never told what they're doing well, what they're not doing well. And it just doesn't drive excellence to not know what you need to work on. You know, in baseball, we're serious. We tell you all your statistics. But is baseball... Why should we measure that and be so much hardcore than about education, which is the very basis of the economy?
And what is it that makes a good teacher?
Well, it turns out that the way you engage the class is a critical difference. So an average teacher comes in, and this is only through research, we know this. They pretty much know what they're going to present during that class. And looking at the students and seeing if they're sort of fidgeting, moving their leg, there's a lack of energy in the room, going in, asking them questions, getting them engaged, seeing if they can write the topic. The best teacher is very interactive. It's more performance-oriented. And I think it's fantastic that we're finally getting to the bottom of why are those amazing people so good. And we're not saying we can get everybody to the very top, but at least... we can do a lot better. And it only costs about 2% of the salary base to put these observers, surveys, statistics gathering together. And that is a fantastic investment.
Tell me about another trend that is sweeping education, or has just begun to. It's these massively online courses, so-called MOOCs. Well, what I'm struck by is that you have the ability now, because Stanford and MIT are putting all their courses online, and Harvard is putting all its courses online, and everyone else will probably follow suit, that you have the ability to now take courses in an interactive fashion, because they're designing them pretty well with some interactive software, where you can be taught physics by basically the best physics teacher in the world. And that feels like it should have a massive elevating effect on education.
I'm very excited about this. The fact that the online can be personalized, it's the best lecture, it's great interactive demos, absolutely, we are going to revolutionize education. But it may take a while for all the pieces to come together, maybe 5 years. Our foundation is the biggest backer of these activities. Putting the course videos online, MIT, OpenCourseWare, and others, almost nobody used that because they would get confused, they would get stuck. So that was a problem with the course, and they wouldn't get a degree. And today that degree is what the employer values. So the number of people who take hard courses where there's not a degree benefit for them, that's pretty small. The elite students have been the early consumers of these things. Even they've had pretty high dropout rates. And so, but enough people are using these things that we're in a process where they're just going to get better and better. So I'm very enthused about what's in the years ahead.
What about the institutional blockages that people talk about to some of the education issues, the teachers' unions and things? How big a problem is that? Do you think if you really could, have vouchers and charter schools and all this stuff much more responsive to new trends and market demands, that education would be transformed much more quickly?
Well, in K through 12, almost everybody goes to a local school. Universities are a bit different because kids actually do pick a university. The bizarre thing, though, is that the merit of a university is actually how good the students going in are, the SAT scores of the kids going in.
We have no measure going out.
Exactly. And so the best university is one whose bulletin board to read, we took kids with the lowest SAT scores and they're now making $100,000 a year. That's what you'd really like as an output measure. And so we're completely missing the right thing. And so what happens is kids give feedback to professors. They don't want courses to be so hard. So the amount of time you spend in class or working on your studies has gone down over the last few decades. And universities have competed to have these very elite students, partly competed by non-classroom, restaurants, climbing walls, things like that. So we're in a bad pattern that you get this paradox that if you want unemployment in the U.S. to go down, it's not just cyclical. And college graduates, we're below 4%. And new job creation will favor college graduates more in the future than in the past. So you've got to get a higher percentage of the people through a strong four-year degree, but the costs are going up, and the amount of money, state money is going down because it's going to health. Federal money, assume the best case is it gets plateaued. It's gone up a lot over the last decade, but it won't be able to keep doing that.
So, but it does sound like, because of this ability to measure teachers, because of these new technologies, we may be at an inflection point in education where you're just going to see a massive uptick in productivity.
That's right. As soon as you can bring market-type things where you measure, give feedback, identify best practices, then innovation becomes very pervasive. And particularly when you've got technology, and there's so many ways to use technology, the measurement of the students and teachers, this is a very important time to get that right. And that's why I love the fact that things like student surveys that are so easy to do are very diagnostic. The students have a lot that their feedback can indicate to a teacher where they need to improve their practice.
All right. Wonderful to hear some optimism.
I'm
Thank
very
you,
optimistic. Great to see you.
And we will be back.
At some point in our lives, many of us stop asking why. The Hulk Prize is for those who never stopped asking.